Yeah. Hello.
Hi. So
Yeah.
I'm Mr. Stephen from the United States, and
Okay.
you're Tanny Tan?
No. Actually, that my schoolmate. We use our same account. Yeah.
Oh, you're Mike?
Yeah. I'm Tiffany.
Tiffany. Okay, that's a better name anyway than Mike. So
Okay.
tell him I
Yeah.
said, please. Nice to meet you, Tiffany. So
Yeah.
are you going to, this here else topic, are you going to be taking else test soon?
Yeah. I'm gonna take the IELTS exam in the next 4 months at the
Good.
end of the April. Yeah.
Okay, good. Don't worry,
Yeah.
you got it knocked. I can help you a lot because
Yeah.
I have two friends that are else examiners. Okay,
Yeah.
and they
So
don't.
you.
I. Well, I'm going to tell you the things I've learned from them. They don't give away secrets, but I've known them for 20 years, and I ask them questions, and then I tell them what I think is the correct answer, and if I'm right, they say yes. If I'm not right, they don't answer, and I keep asking questions until I get the answer.
Yeah. So you
Okay?
are a teacher or something?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes, I am a teacher. I didn't plan to be a teacher when I was in university. I had a degree in mathematics, bachelor of science in math, in physics, and in computer science. And then I had to go in the U.S. Army for 5 years. And when I got out, I went into the oil industry as a petrophysical engineer. And I guess I did pretty good. I was After 10 years, I was regional manager for the company in Asia. I lived in Indonesia for 30 years.
oh yeah.
And
It's
when they
pretty
sent
near
me,
Vietnam.
yeah, and when they sent me there, I was supposed to train 200 Indonesian engineers to do the same kind of engineering work. I asked them, okay, what about language? Do they speak English? And I was told yes. When I got to Indonesia, well, let's just say Indonesian people are good at telling you what you want to hear. And it's true, all the people spoke English. Every one of them could say hello, and that's
Yeah.
it. That's all they could say was hello. So I had to become a teacher. I had to learn how to. So yes, I've been teaching English and TOEFL and ELTS tests for over 20 years.
Okay.
Okay, so let me, if it's all right with you, I'd like to go through the tips that I know that can make the difference between you getting a 5.5 and getting a 7 on the
Yeah.
speaking part of the
Okay.
test. All right.
I'm really
Okay.
glad to hear that.
Did you take the test yet once already?
No, I haven't ever. I haven't ever never take the
That's
test
fine.
before.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. No bad habits. Good. That's wonderful. So
Yeah.
this information will help you a lot. Okay, you will receive after you send in your contact with them. They'll send you back a document that says you're accepted. In there
Yeah.
is identification numbers, but more importantly, the date and the address for where the test is. So the first tip is don't wait till the day of the test to find out how to get to the test site because they lock the door at a certain time. And if you're not there, you threw your money away. Okay,
Yeah.
so the second tip is try to study it. And you've got 4 months, so you should be fine. But some people they start at the very last moment and they're walking to the test site with studying like this. It's better if you don't do that. It's better if you get a good night's sleep the night before.
Yeah.
And else has done they've done surveys and they're just about sure you have 10% better score if you really get a good night's sleep the night before. And just as important, you need to make sure you drink at least one good sized glass of water before you go to bed that night because your brain runs on water. Okay. I used to think it was pretty cool. Our bodies would tell us when we were thirsty. I didn't know that that's not a request. That's a scream for help from your brain. If you're ever thirsty, you're late to drink water. Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay, so that's it for those tips. Then when you go inside the first time, they check, make sure that you are who you say you are, because some people pay people to take the test. So they
Oh
have to
yeah.
make yeah, they have to make sure they're the right person. And so then they ask you to wait, and the examiner will come over. It's a man or a woman. And I don't know if you've heard, but a lot of people think, well, some people say it's don't get a woman, don't get a woman. And the other people say, don't get a man, don't get a man. It doesn't matter, because when after you take the test, usually the next week, they they they're going to videotape you and audio tape you. You may not even know that, but they sit down. One of them is the examiner that was with you, and the other one is another examiner, side by side, but they grade you independently, watching the video at the same time, and then they go and compare in each section the grades, and they have to agree on a grade for each section in the speaking, the section by section that you did. If they can't agree, they call the supervisor over, and he acts like your lawyer to push to get you the better score. So because those two have to agree, and that's why sometimes it takes a while. So the system for grading is fair. Okay, I can't think of a fairer way to do that. All right, so now when the examiner comes up, and they say, the first thing they'll say is, "What should I call you?" or "What is your name?" The first tip about this is, when you answer, don't look at the floor. Don't go, "My name is Winnie." Then they can't hear you, because they're taller probably than you. You're looking down, the words go to the floor, and they don't even hear. Okay,
So can you ask me that question so I can answer, and you can
sure.
Yeah.
So what should I call you?
Yeah, you can call me Tiffany. It's my English name, but my full name in Vietnamese is Dương Thị Thanh Tâm. Yeah.
Well, that's okay, but that's wonderful. Well done. Almost too much, almost TMI. Do you know what TMI is? Too much information.
So
you don't. Time is very important.
Oh yeah.
You only have so many minutes, and if you use too much, as you'll find out when we're done, if you could be hurting yourself if you use too much time. You also can hurt yourself if you don't use enough time on other parts. Okay, you'll find out as we go on. So the main thing is, and what you said was perfect, except one thing: change the word "can" to "may." You may call me Tiffany.
Okay. You may call me Tiffany.
Yeah, that's the first vocabulary check. Maybe in Vietnam, not the same way, but in America and in England, there must have been a little boy in the back of the room going, "Teacher, teacher, can I go to the bathroom?" And the teacher said, "Sure, you can, but you may not." Okay. Can means you're capable. So if you say, "Yes, you can call me," that means I guess you're smart enough to talk to me. Ooh, that's not what you want to do.
Yeah.
So say, "You can call me Tiffany." Okay. So now we go to part one. All right. Section one. And there's 3 questions in section 1. You should be able to finish all 3 in 5 minutes, because this is not where you talk 2 minutes. This is where you have a specific question, and they're looking for a certain thing. And I'll ask you a question, make sure you know how to do it. All right. So all the questions in part 1 are easy. They're about you. Okay, they're about your home, your neighborhood, vocabulary. For example, do you know the difference between a neighborhood and a neighbor, which many students in Asia don't? Okay. Do you have good recreational facilities in your neighborhood and things like that? Simple.
Yeah.
So if the first question is, do you have good public transportation in your neighborhood? what would you answer?
Well, my neighborhood is in the countryside of Vietnam, and it's not well developed yet. So we don't have public transportation in my countryside, actually.
That was just fine. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, why was it? But I'm not just going to say good enough. No, I'm going to tell you why it was okay.
Yeah.
You answered the question directly. You did put the answer, the direct part, at the back end of your sentence, but that's fine. Okay. Not everybody can do that the first try. If you're nervous and you can't think of what to say, the easiest way to make sure you've answered the question directly is take the question and turn it inside out. Make the question the answer. In my neighborhood, we don't have any public transportation because my neighborhood is nature. It's the countryside. Okay.
Yeah.
But so just remember, if what do I do? What do I do? Flip the question, make that the answer, and then by then you'll calm down and add some other things. What if you didn't understand the question? What if you don't understand the question?
So can you repeat the question again?
Yes, you could say that, but why would you do that? Because 10 seconds ago you didn't understand it. What happened in the last 10 seconds that now you're going to understand it? Not much.
Maybe I
That's,
couldn't listen clearly.
that doesn't, they don't care about that. So here's what you do. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You can ask for every question. You can ask the examiner a question. No penalty, no reduction in score. You don't have to worry. It's not a bad thing to ask a question. That's okay. And you could say, would you please rephrase the question? Okay. That means he's going to use different words to ask the same thing. Now, and so look at each question as a roadmap, how to get to the answer. You've got the first one that you heard, but you're not quite sure what he meant. Now he's going to give you another one with different words, and they both go to the same place. Usually that gives you the information you need to at least be able to speak on content. They don't grade your answer. Okay? They grade it, but not on the content. Okay, so there's three questions in part one. Each question you have to do three things. You did the first thing perfectly. In fact, excellently. You answered the question directly. The second thing you have to say is, how do you know that that's the correct answer? And you did that too. Because I live in the countryside, I mean, a lot of stuff isn't out where I live, including public transportation. It's not there yet. So that also was excellent. All right. And the third thing is, what's the result of that situation? You didn't quite do that. You could have, you might have said, because we don't have public transportation, we have to find other ways and make other arrangements to get into town for the things we need. Okay. But that's the only thing you didn't do. The biggest mistake students usually make is they don't answer the question directly. So the question, do you have good public transportation in your neighborhood? No, we don't. No, you don't what? They just say, yes, we do. Yeah. And so not good, not a good answer. All right. So you put all those three things together, that's less than a minute and a half for each answer. Those three things, until you did that just fine. All right. So now part two. Part two, they give you a card. On that card, it's got the topic for talking. It's got 3 talking points. Don't panic if there's 4. More is better. Okay?
Yeah.
They're going to tell you you have 1 minute to prepare. Let's say you get the card and you look and you smile because this happens to be the same example that you practiced for a month. You're so happy. You think you're great shape. I've got it knocked out. No, you don't. Because he said, take 1 minute to prepare. And he can't read your mind. And all he does is seeing you standing there smiling. Not preparing is what it looks like to him. So you make sure you take that card. And for two reasons, you want to think of at least one and maybe two more talking points. Okay. Now, so now when you do that, when he sees you write it on the card, good, she's preparing. But more importantly, if you get flustered or you forget something on the talking points we got from them, you cannot go back to those talking points again. But you can use your talking points to keep talking. All right, that's the importance. Now, what do you think is the most important thing of everything for the speaking test? Grammar, vocabulary, or what?
I think it's and
You got it. Yeah, if you have to put them in order, the order is fluency, fluency, fluency. Grammar is not that important. Okay, yes, of course, if you have good grammar, it's going to help your score. But you can get an 8 with 3 major grammatical errors. You can get a 7 with 5 errors. It's right in the information on each band what you can and can't do, and those are available on the internet. All right. What does fluency mean? Once you start answering a question, don't stop talking until you finished. I can't say that enough. Don't slow down to look for a better vocabulary word. Don't slow down to seek a better sentence structure. What you might gain from doing that is not worth the 10 times the loss you're going to get if you slow down. All right? So whatever your vocabulary is fine. You have 4 months. I'm going to be able to give you, if we have time today, if not another time, or by a message afterwards, 2 files that are very important for your vocabulary. One, a list of the most often used English words by native speakers. Okay, BBC had a program that said you need to have 2,500 words if you want to speak like a native speaker. And one of their listeners called in and said, "That's great, thank you. That's worthless." Why do you say that? There's 20,000 words in English. Which 2,500 words do I need to take? This file, this is the list. I'm going to give you the list of the most frequently used English words by native speakers.
Sorry. Actually, I just have 20 minutes because I must spend time for another student. So,
Yeah, we're almost done. We're almost done. We're almost done.
Yeah.
Okay, very important point. All right. How long do you talk in part 2?
I think 2 minutes.
Okay. To be clear, no matter what else anybody tells you, you have to speak at least 2 minutes. At least. Okay. If you stop before 2 minutes is up, you flunk the test. Okay. There are some cards out there that say 1 to 2 minutes. That's wrong. 2 out of every 10 people that take the test will be allowed to talk more than 2 minutes. If you're one of those 2 people, the longer you talk, the higher your score. Okay, so that was the very important thing. Okay, that's enough. If you have to go, I understand. But those are the main things. Okay.
So can I meet you at this time at Saturday?
Anytime you want. I will send you a message with a link to my schedule where you can make the reservation.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll make
or any other time. Whatever time works for you is fine for me.
Yeah, and thank you very much for the sharing today.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Goodbye. Nice to meet you. Bye.
Yeah. Thank you.
Have a good day.